It's funny how life can change so suddenly. One minute everything feels normal, routine, predictable, and the next it's all different. The house felt unbearably empty without him. The silence was deafening, louder than any words could have been. I found myself wandering aimlessly through the rooms, touching his things, wondering if I could still feel his presence. The first few weeks after Alex passed were a blur. The world moved around me, but I felt stuck, trapped in a limbo of grief and confusion. The neighbors were kind, always offering their condolences, a warm casserole, a comforting smile, but nothing seemed to break through the fog. That was until he showed up. Ryan, my neighbor, had always been a quiet presence in the building. I never thought much about him beyond the polite nods and quick exchanges in the hallway. He was a man of routine, like me. I would see him jogging every morning at 6 a.m. and returning just before dusk. I knew he had lost someone too, his wife, but we had never spoken about our shared pain. One evening, as I sat by the window staring at the fading light, I saw Ryan standing outside across the street. He wasn't moving, just standing there, gazing at the horizon. It was unusual. He wasn't the type to linger. Curious and slightly concerned, I opened the door and called out to him. He turned to me with a soft, hesitant smile. "I've been meaning to check on you," he said, his voice low as if unsure if he was intruding. I was surprised but nodded, inviting him in. Stepping inside hesitantly as if testing the waters, we sat in the living room, the air thick with unspoken words. Finally, he broke the silence. "I'm sorry for your loss," he said, his eyes fixed on his hands. "If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask." His words were simple, but they carried a sincerity that caught me off guard. A lump formed in my throat as I nodded, managing a quiet thank you. When he left, I felt a strange sense of comfort, a warmth I hadn't felt in weeks. Over the following days, Ryan began to check in regularly. At first, it was just a knock on the door, a quick exchange of pleasantries, or a dish he'd made. I didn't know how to feel about his consistent presence. Part of me appreciated the company while another part of me was wary, uncertain of his intentions or my own feelings. One evening, about a month after Alex's funeral, Ryan came over with a bottle of wine. I hesitated before letting him in. I had grown used to my solitude, but something inside me shifted that night. I didn't want to be alone. We sat on the couch talking about everything and nothing. To my surprise, I found myself laughing, a genuine laugh that I hadn't heard from myself in months. Ryan had a way of making me feel lighter, as though I could breathe again. "Do you ever think about moving?" he asked suddenly, his voice soft, his eyes searching mine. The question caught me off guard. "I've thought about it," I admitted, glancing around the room, "but this house, it feels like home. Home, even without him here. The memories are everywhere." Ryan nodded thoughtfully. "I understand. I feel the same way about my place." The room fell silent for a moment, then he leaned forward. His hand brushed mine. The touch lingered, warm and steady. I looked up into his eyes, and for the first time since Alex's death, I felt seen, not just as a grieving widow, but as a person. "I'm not trying to make this awkward," Ryan said, his voice almost a whisper, "but I think we're both trying to find our way through this. We're both living with loss." My heart raced, emotions swirling inside me. It wasn't love, at least not yet, but it was something I hadn't felt in a long time. The weeks that followed were a blur of emotions. Ryan became a fixture in my life, a comforting presence. We shared quiet dinners, late-night conversations, and long walks around the neighborhood. I found myself looking forward to his visits, but a part of me still hesitated. I wasn't sure if I was ready for whatever this was. One afternoon, as the golden light of sunset filled my living room, Ryan knocked on the door again. When I opened it, he held a small wrapped box in his hands. "It's just something small," he said softly, handing it to me. "I thought you might like it." I unwrapped the box slowly, revealing a delicate silver bracelet. My breath caught in my throat. It was the kind of bracelet Alex had once promised to buy me for our anniversary. Tears welled up in my eyes as I looked at Ryan. "I know this isn't easy," he said, stepping inside, but I just wanted you to know you're not alone, not anymore." In that moment, something shifted inside me. I realized I didn't have to live in the shadow of my past. I could move forward, not forgetting but choosing to live again, and maybe, just maybe, that living could include someone who cared. Ryan. He reached out his hand, resting gently on my shoulder. We didn't say anything for a while. There were no grand declarations or promises, but in that quiet moment, I understood something deeper than words could express. I was ready to heal, and perhaps I was ready to open my heart again. A few days later, as we walked through the park together, the winter air crisp and filled with the scent of pine, I felt a quiet sense of hope. Ryan didn't rush me or push for answers or commitments. Instead, he simply walked beside me, his presence steady and reassuring. For the first time in what felt like forever, I wasn't looking back at what I had lost. Instead, I was looking forward to what might come next. Thank you so much for watching and being here with me through this journey. I can't express how much your support means to me. Please, I'm literally on my knees here. Don't forget to smash that like button. It's such a small thing for you, but it's everything for me, and please, if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell so we can keep sharing these moments together. The reason I can do this is that I need you more than ever. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.